Today on Inside the Game, the U.S. men's national team bounced back with a 2-0 win over Japan in Columbus. Wake Forest head coach Bobby Musk joins us, and we break down the United Soccer Coaches Week 3 Top 25 for both men and women. All of that and more coming up right now.
Welcome to Inside the Game on the National Soccer Network. Now, here are your hosts, Jonathan Turner and Nathan Wangler.
Welcome into Inside the Game, number 155. I'm Jonathan Turner. That's Nate Wangler, Ryan Glinsky, our producer, and we are excited to have you here this morning on the show. We've got a great show lined up for you here this morning. I will start the show with this. Go USA!
Woo! Best team ever. We're winning it all, boys. It's happening.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
It's coming home.
We're gonna
bringing it home.
We're gonna have to, try to keep up the excitement this morning because I think me and Ryan are gonna crash out around 9:52. So, it was a long drive yesterday. We did a total of 7.5 hours in the car for a 2.5-hour match. But we enjoyed every bit of it. We'll talk about that here throughout the show this morning. Yes, the U.S. men's national team did win yesterday, so that's obviously a bonus on the endeavor of making our way to Columbus yesterday. We are supposed to be joined here by Bobby Musk, the head coach of Wake Forest men's soccer. We're just waiting to see if he's going to hop into our green room as we get ready for that interview. If not, we do have another interview teed up and ready to go from Monday that when we sat down with NC State head coach earlier this week in Mark Hubbard. So we can always put that one in if Bobby does not make it into our environment. We also are going to dive into the Week 3 Top 25, both men's and women's college soccer rankings. Some newbies at number 1 here this week. We'll dive into those. Before we do, Nate, you had a chance yesterday to go spend some time, much needed time, with family. How was family yesterday? Was family good?
Good. Yeah, the extended family. We were up north. We hiked on the Northern Trail. So it literally goes from, if you don't know anything about the trail system, it goes from Vermont all the way out to the Dakotas. So it wraps all the way up into Michigan and then down and around. And so anyways, there's a portion of it that's up north. So I was on that for about 5-6 miles yesterday. So good. Yeah, we did that. Did all the up north stuff. Post Labor Day, there's nobody up north Michigan. I mean, it literally goes from being a tourist destination to what it is, just a sleepy Michigan town. So that's the best. Yeah, anytime I get an opportunity to do that, I'll take advantage of that. But obviously, was still paying attention. I knew you guys were heading down to Columbus to watch USA v Japan, and it's funny, we were giving our predictions on the videos earlier. And again, regardless of who played or whatnot, I know Ryan and I were both kind of on the same train there. Like, this is going to be bad again. But I hope you guys enjoy the environment. I hope you enjoy the experience. Don't take the loss too hard. But then they went out and they did what they did. So that was cool to see. I was still keeping track on it. Fortunately, we got Wi-Fi at the cottage now, so we got all the fixings and everything. So I watched that, and I also watched the Bears lose, which was nice. That was a good little treat on top of all that. So yeah, good.
Wait, so Ben Johnson isn't the second coming of Christ?
I mean, he still may be. It's one game.
Wow.
But it's the Bears too. We got to keep that in mind. It's the Bears, so you can't escape that.
The Bears.
Part. Yeah. So, good weekend, though, all in all.
We do have a great show lined up for you this morning. Again, Ryan, has Bobby hopped in?
No,
still no Bobby. Okay, well, we'll keep an eye out for Bobby. But what we are going to do is we're going to take our first break. We come back from our first break. We'll dive into the U.S. men's national team here a little bit. We'll dive into our experience here yesterday, and we'll go from there. But you're watching episode number 155 here, Inside the Game on the National Soccer Network.
Flint City Bucks are Michigan's top soccer franchise with 4 national championships, 9 conference titles, and 15 Great Lakes Division titles. They have produced 107 players for Major League Soccer, and they focus on attracting top talent and shaping soccer's future. Michigan Bucks Academy joins NLS Next new competition tier starting in September of 2025. This offers elevated levels of play and flexibility for high school participation. The Academy will provide premier development, high-performance training, and exposure to scouts through regional tournaments and MLS Next events. For more information on tryouts, training programs, and key updates as we prepare for our first season in MLS Next new tier, visit MichiganBucksAcademy.com.
Welcome back into Inside the Game here on this Wednesday morning. We were going to talk U.S. men's national team here, but we are joined by Bobby Muss, the head coach of Wake Forest. And before we bring him in, Nate, something that I want to dive into. Yesterday we had a chance to drive into Columbus, okay? And as soon as I saw "Welcome to Columbus," my blood pressure started to go up a little bit. So some anger was kind of building, right? And I could only imagine, what Bobby Muss feels. Last year they fell short of making their way to the semifinals, right? The College Cup, right? The Final Four. They lost to Ohio State. I would imagine that his blood boils too when he hears Ohio State and the Buckeyes.
Screw the Buckeyes.
Yeah.
Is that for me or is that for?
No, I was saying that for Nate. We're gonna bring you in a second. But there you are.
No, but I would agree.
But welcome, man. I would imagine on some level that you have that same animosity that I have going into Columbus right now as well.
I honestly, it was a one-off. They had a great season. We just didn't have our best game. No, I have nothing against Columbus. Actually, I'm one of the few people, you may not like this, Jonathan, but I'm one of the few people that went on a full week July 4th vacation in Columbus, Ohio. And me and the kids at the time of our lives. We have good friends that are there, some alumni that we were able to catch up with. It was a great week last year.
No, it does not. I mean, all kidding aside, I've been to Columbus, I think, a handful of times here in the last couple of years. And aside from this university there, everything else is great. But we enjoyed it. We had a chance yesterday to make our trip to watch the U.S. men's national team game. And watch that in person. So that was a blast. But hey, we want to talk about obviously your men's soccer program. You guys were ranked last week 7th. You made and cracked your way into the top 5 this week. And we know that we talked with NC State head coach earlier this week. Rankings are great. A lot of that's for the pundits, and not a lot of teams really take that to heart. But it is something to be proud of, right? Your team is playing well, and your team deserves to be in the top 5.
Yeah, well, I always tell the group, right? Rankings is based off the team that you had last year and really where you finished. no one really knows what's coming in, how young kids, transfers, get acclimated and transition into the club. So I do think the ranking is a little bit, like you said, we lost in the quarterfinal last year as one of the higher ranked teams, at the end of the year. That's normally where you start. Obviously, if you're not winning games, you don't stay in the rankings. So it is a testament to this group, but it's a little bit of both. We played last night, and I told the guys, like, there's so many people like posting and social media and blowing up. This is what we're ranked. I mean, we're in week 3 right now, or week 4. I don't know. I lost track already. The rankings are meaningless at this point in time, right? If you look at the rankings versus like the RPI or, we have a long way to go. And last year we weren't ranked, you know what I mean? And at the end of the season we were. So I was thinking that driving in today, I'm like, oh my goodness, right? We have a lot of work to do, but it's still a nice feather in the cap. It's where we want Wake Forest to be. We want to be competing with the best, and be in that conversation as one of the best programs in the country year in and year out. So it's a testament to last year's group and this year's.
You guys have a tough road coming up too. We always talk about how competitive the ACC can be, and it is. I mean, year in and year out, you look at either side of the coin, men's or women's. You got a big matchup coming up against North Carolina. They're in the top 25, number 21 right now. What do you see out of that team?
It's silly. We played Campbell last night, so I didn't really pay attention. I can't do 2 for 1. Like I can't worry about the next one until that one's
right.
over. We had a grind to the end last night. So literally I was driving in and all gears on Carolina, and I got the reminder. I'm like, you have the podcast this morning. So I turned my car around, I jumped in my kitchen. My staff is watching Carolina now. We're going to meet when we go in. But no, it's they're a good team. I watched them play early in the year against UCF because we had a common opponent. We played them next. It's a new team for Coach there, and he's got a lot of tools, a lot of pieces. They play a different shape than we've seen this season so far, so it's going to be a great test. I mean, as you said, it doesn't matter who you play in the ACC. You play the top team. You play, if there is a bottom team, I don't know who it is. It's a big game, and we're going on the road, and our job is to try to do everything we possibly can to come back with 3 points.
And I think you made a good point on a lot of times rankings are decided based off of what you did the season previous. I do think there's another layer to that, though. I think there's reputation that comes into play. I think, the brand sometimes can give you a leg up in terms of what the media and other coaches think you can do because of what you've been able to develop. You guys have more wins over the last decade than any other program in America. How have you been able to maintain that level of consistency?
I think it's just competition. I think from 1 to 28, we have good players that are hungry. They all have goals and ambitions about playing at the next level. So that allows me to push them and not allow them to take days off. I mean, obviously, you know what I'm talking about in terms of when we're on the field.
Right.
But we approach each and every game as if it's the most important game. I think we've done a decent job over this time of midweek games are hard. They're hurdles because, as you said, we have a big game coming up on Friday, and it's hard not to think about the ACC games. But we've taken care of business for the most part, in the midweeks, which allow us to put our best foot forward and not have that stress and anxiety that you have to win. But there is a certain expectation. I told someone last night, I don't think really a lot of people give the student athletes credit for what they've done over this last decade because they come to Wake and there's an expectation of winning and a lot of programs, but the consistency in which they've done it, there is stress and anxiety that goes into that because you don't want to be the team. You don't want to be the coach. You don't want to be the players that don't keep that going and moving in the right direction. And nowadays with social media, I mean, one mistake, it's all over the place, right? It's the same way, right? You could be elevated by doing something great, but you could be taken down, and it's harder to play in this day and age. It certainly is. But I credit to the guys. It's the competition. It's the mindset. I think they'll tell you that in the 11 seasons, or 10 and a half or 10 and a quarter, whatever it is I haven't taken a day off in terms of my energy levels and trying to help them reach their goals and the program's goals and the institution's goals. So, but I do think it's competition each and every day.
It's a great point, and something that I I talk about a lot. We talk with a lot of different coaches across the country, and your school is a destination school for players. And what I mean by that is that with the transfer portal, a lot of players are selecting mid-major, maybe Division II programs, looking for a chance to be seen and then to one day come to Wake Forest, right? Or one day come to a Michigan State, come to these big, these Power 5 schools, right? How do you as a coach manage that? Because again, the loyalty in today's world in regards to athletics, I know it goes both ways, but loyalty is no longer really a true thing. And so how do you stay competitive in a world in which loyalty isn't there, and players are looking to go places to where they can maybe, I don't say a selfish thing, but it's about, hey, it's not like it used to be. It's more of a wild, wild west out there. How do you manage that with the new world?
We're still managing, right? I think you have to continue to evolve each and every season. I said this is a time now in college athletics where we take pride on being super proactive, but you can't really waste time on the future. You have to worry about right now because everything changes every couple of weeks, right? If it's rules and regulations, what you can do, what kids want, changes in what you can, give, not give, roster limits. So it's hard to be as proactive as we once were, but for me, and it's going to continue to be this way. And, I tell alumni, I tell supporters and donors, we try to keep our program, in that traditional college soccer program where kids want to come to Wake Forest for 3 reasons, right? They want to get one of the best educations in the country, right? They want to develop because they have goals and ambitions about playing one day. They want to be pushed, and they want to win championships. And I think those 3 things is the foundation of the program. I don't want guys looking to the left and the right in the locker room and, what are you making? What are you making? We don't have guys making money. But it all starts with intentional relationships. A lot of these kids are coming from transactional relationships and youth professional clubs. And sometimes it's harder to break, to break into those, to have those intentional relationships. But myself and my staff, it's what we pride ourselves on, knowing the ins and outs and trying to, and that's not saying we're all selfish. We're all greedy. All 3 of us are in our own little ways. And I think you have to have that to be successful. But at the same time there's going to be guys that make decisions for themselves 100%, and they should. But I do think as long as we're transparent, right, we can communicate about it. I think those intentional relationships allow me to push kids to their limits. I think they have to understand that I see that they're capable of doing stuff maybe that they don't even think they're capable of. But the one thing that I haven't done is I haven't changed the way I coached, right? So, this player may leave. Well, if they want to reach their goals and ambitions, right, they're here for that reason, then they deserve my best. And not because they can go in the transfer portal, then I'm going to be any different. Because I don't think our program's going to succeed that way. So I think the guys with the most talent, the highest level of potential are the ones that I get after probably the most on a daily basis, because I tell them I don't want you to fail on my dime, right, on my time. So I think it's the relationship piece is huge for us. And there's some that are fake, right? Not on my part, not on our staff's part, but kids tell you what you want to hear and then things happen. But for the most part, we try to run it as traditionally as long as we possibly can. Right. And see if we can keep this thing moving in that traditional college soccer sense.
And obviously you said you haven't changed your coaching philosophy, which I think is fantastic. I would imagine on some level, though, because of the transfer portal, that you as a coach have to sometimes make decisions about when maybe the right time is to play that freshman that maybe in the past you wouldn't have played. Right? Maybe there's that moment now, because you mentioned like the future is now. And I think for a lot of these, the transfer portal specifically, players get frustrated because they're not on the field. And so, again, I think at the lower level, the mid-majors, the Horizon League, the Max, those environments are probably a little bit different. But because if you're at Wake Forest, you're one of the top 1% players in the country, right? You are the best of the best.
If we're doing our job.
Mentality is there.
If we're doing our job right.
Huh?
Yeah.
I mean, but my question is does it make you as a coach have to make that decision to play that player, now versus later, or is that honest conversation happening where you're like, hey, you're just not there yet. I'm not going to put you out there until you're ready.
Yeah, you just said a good point, right? And you're ready. I think some kids want to play all the time, but I do think it's myself and my staff's responsibilities to make sure we feel yeah, I guess I want to reverse it. I tell young men all the time is to play and then not play is harder than to not play and play. So I do believe, and it's harder mentally, right, than it is obviously from a tactical perspective. And for me is my role and my responsibility is I want to put kids in to make sure they're successful. And there's different players, we have reentry, it's not international football. We have it. So it's my responsibility, especially as they're younger, is what their game, adds to our game and that direct competition that we have, and where can they be the most successful, right? And I know that sounds weird. It's like, so if you have a forward, and you have a 9 and a team is sitting in, right? And as a young kid, he doesn't understand how to break down a set defense, but he can run in behind and stretch the game if a team was stepping up and pressing us, using them at the right time. But having those conversations, just saying, this is where I feel you're better suited now. We have to add these other attributes to the game over the time. But I want kids, young kids, and I have no problem playing young kids, but I don't ever want to turn back from the decisions, right? Where you put a kid in that's not ready just because he's so ambitious and eager, and then he fails, and then it's harder for him mentally and from, the trust of teammates and stuff to put him back in crucial situations. The one thing that I always tell guys, if you're in, no matter what the situation is, there should be no stress and anxiety or nerves because you're trusted by the staff thinking that you can do a job. So, and like I always say too, there's goal up guys, there's goal down guys, there's tie game guys. Anybody can be a goal down guy. What you want to be is you want to be a goal up guy, like in that trust. I'm playing on both sides of the ball, but I don't coach differently because we have a young, talented freshman. You use the professional terminology, right? If you want to be a pro, you're going to be in a better environment than this. And you're going to have to fight and compete with better players than this to get on the field. So your role in that next step of your career is to continue to develop where you're competing with that person and eventually taking over the position. But if you're going to take it over and take some ownership. The back and forth stuff is really difficult, especially when you're playing Tuesday, Friday. Where do you find those, those times with our schedule just to see if they can do it? It's really difficult.
I think a lot of what you said can be summed up in 2 words, which is buy-in. And I think that's something that's really important for any program. It makes all the difference in the world when you have a group that's bought in, and whether that's bought into the vision of the team, the program, their future, and what you guys can provide for them in that way. Buy-in is the most important thing. But in order to get there, you have to be able to connect with your players. And I think one of the things you've said that's maybe impressed me the most is that you haven't changed your coaching style, in all the years that you have been, you coach one way, and clearly that's produced a lot of results. How have you been able to connect with players effectively and over the stretch of time too? Because we know the player today is a lot different than maybe what the player of yesterday was. How have you been able to consistently get to that level with these players and get them to buy into the vision? Because I think that's a hard thing to do with where the college landscape is nowadays.
Yeah, I think, well, you said it earlier. It's like destination. I mean, I call that an opportunity. You know what I mean? Like I have an opportunity to coach at one of the best institutions and soccer programs in the country, right? And it was that before I got here. And I think is that buy-in to where like, hey, this is a privilege. You know what I mean? I go to work every day with excitement. I don't take a day for granted. That's the approach we want them to take right from the recruiting process on. But the relationship piece is, for me, it's important, right? My staff does a really good job of vetting kids. It's like, I don't know if you're going to like him, right? You're going to love him as a player, but him, we're personal people. And Wake Forest is a personal institution as well. And I think that's where we found a nice mix of, you have to balance what your institution is all about too, right? We're, a small private, like an intimate private school. And you're going to have to communicate. Right, you're going to have to open up in classes on campus. So we have the right mix of people. But I do think it's, we meet with our players every week, right? So there's 4 of us full time on staff, and we break up the players and we meet. And those meetings are not, oh, you need to spin with your man, or you need to get more shots off. It's how you doing, right? And you'd be amazed where those conversations lead to, because when you get to know someone, if something's on them. or weighing on them. That's the other thing too, is you talked about the buy-in. We have principles of play. We have expectations. We don't call them rules, but expectations and standards that we live by. And we've had really good leaders in the past that it just continues to go. And we talk about culture all the time. It's what you think today, not what you did yesterday, what you're thinking, how you're acting, how you're talking. If you go through the program and you're asking guys, what's your style of play? They all will say the same things. And they're not nervous that they're going to say the wrong thing. They all believe it. Now, when you play and you train, there will be a couple of guys that do it differently. And our program alienates them really quick. That sounds awful, right? Being alienated. It's not in a good culture, because then that student athlete has a decision to make. Do I go with it? Am I going with the trainer or am I going off? I think my role and responsibility is to get our leaders and the team to call out those situations. And that's through that culture that has been created. And believe me, it's not easy, because there's days that I would love to turn my head if someone's wearing the wrong thing or they're 30 seconds late but what I say is, like, these guys, fortunately and unfortunately, have a staff that are caring about their future, just not winning soccer games. Meaning we try to use the game, right, to teach life lessons. And I think that's the beauty of college athletics that I think people are losing, in today's day and age.
I think the messaging that you have is spot on. I think as well, when we look at
sorry guys.
No, you're fine. The dog has something to say too, it sounds like, which is great.
By the way, this dog, I'm allowed to coach the way I am because this dog has saved my life. She's the only one that listens to me and doesn't talk back. It's unbelievable. Great. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. That's great. But what I was going to go with this is that obviously you're a Division I college coach, and unfortunately that also means you have to win soccer games, right? So you have to win. We're in a result business. And so if you can do all those things and win, that makes it a much better product, right? A much better outcome. There's a lot of teams out there that have the same kind of thing. They have a lot of players that buy in, but they don't have those results. And they're struggling for those results in a lot of cases. Yeah. My question for you is this. Every year you guys go into a room as a team and you're like, hey, here are our goals. You're in the you're at ACC, we want to get to the College Cup. What are the top goals outside of the results? Right? Because there's the results. We know everyone wants to win something. We want to win the league. We want to win the tournament. We want to go to the College Cup. We want to win the national championship. But what are the non-result-based goals? What are the ones like, hey, is it like competitiveness? Are there things that happen in that locker room that are not tangible?
Well, we have it all over our buildings and our offices, right? It's development and family, right? So the main thing is my at the end of the season, my meetings can be short, right? So, Nate comes in my office, right? And you didn't play. And I said, hey, did you get better this season? And you say, yes. Our conversation can be done, because that's the reason your parents sent you to school. That's the reason you came to school, is to get better. And I think for me, development is extremely important. Are we seeing development on and off the field with the kids? Not tangible, but I think you can see it, we can't quantify it, but we could see it. I think for us, it is being very active and proactive and positive within the Wake Forest community and the Winston-Salem community. Those are things that people don't realize. And I think in today's day and age, it gets lost in the big picture of wins, as you said, is Wake Forest men's soccer has put more hours in the community than any other sport program in America over the last 5 years. We're involved in so many different things. Last year, we raised, $25,000 for different entities. This year, we're over $10,000 already, and the season just started for different things within the community. So I think that's a big piece. And this is an interesting one. Every year, right, our goal is to create new history. And that is a challenge when you're at a place like Wake, that has a national championship, Final Fours, ACC championships, College Cups. And how can we do that, right? It was interesting. I didn't know this. We had the best start defensively after the Litchcomb game on Friday since 2008. That's a long time ago, right? So those are things guys now are talking about, and they want to keep that going. So we try to find little things. I know it sounds, I say everybody starts the season saying we want to win the conference. We want to win a national championship. I think the older I get, I want to see guys reach their dreams and goals. And as corny as it sounds, like, yeah, we have plenty of guys playing professional, but it was in the summer in July. I got a text message in June. I got a text message from one of my former players saying he got into med school. And I was just as proud of him getting into med school than any guy that's been drafted or playing in the MLS or, you know what I mean, anywhere. So it's you have to take a step back now. The longer you do it, it's not always going to be trophies. That's me personally. Now, the guys, it's hard because only one team is happy in the end. So it's hard to be happy in any type of sport. But it is like, you know, can we create new history with each season? What are we doing? The impact that we're making in the community and on campus, and doing something where you can be remembered positively.
No, that's really, really cool. Here's my last question. It's the toughest question you're probably going to face probably all week. And so, you know, it's your last day on Earth. You know it's your last day, and you have to have a meal. This is the last meal you'll ever eat. What is that meal?
Oh, man. I'm like one of those guys, right? Like, you know, I have my Bible verse behind me right now. Like, it wouldn't matter because if heaven is what everybody says it is, it's going to be, I'm not going to remember this meal. It's going to just be fine, right? I'm going to be just okay.
Right.
Yeah, I am going to be with the Maker, and it's going to be whatever I want, whenever I want, right?
Yep.
Touche.
As long as I'm nice to my players. But no, I'm trying to. I mean, I can go. All right, I'm a Long Island, New York guy, right? So anything that is unique to New York. I mean, it could be pizza. I can eat a whole pizza. I could sit down. I mean, it's Italian. But there's one thing anyone that's close to me knows. One of my favorite things in the world to eat is a New York bacon, egg, and cheese. So now that's not a meal. I'll call that a snack. I would do that. Then I'd follow up with some chicken parm, right? And then I have to have maybe some ice cream. But no, it would be something from up in New York for sure.
That's a good way. That's a good way to go, right there.
Well, yes, I would.
Yeah, you're feeling like garbage, and then all of a sudden, there you go.
You're gone.
No, it's good. Coma, and then you've got the sugar high at the end. It's perfect. Right?
I know you guys got time, but a couple of weeks ago, I found a deli here in Winston that makes as close as you can to a New York bacon, egg, and cheese, and we had it for the team one morning. And I brought all my New York guys in. We got about 5 or 6, like from Jersey, New York. And we sat in a circle and we opened them up and ate them together. And it was like the faces. It was just because you're in the South, it's completely different. It was unbelievable. Yeah, we bonded. You talk about like that's that intentional relationship right there. Knowing what makes these New York guys tick.
That's funny.
My goodness. Bobby, we appreciate you stopping on by this morning. Obviously off to a great start. 4-0-1. You guys take on number 21 North Carolina here on Friday at 7 p.m. in Chapel Hill. But we wish you and your team success here the rest of the way.
I really appreciate you guys having me. All the best. Thank you so much.
You're very, very welcome.
Sir. Thank you.
Coming up here on the other side of this break, we will dive into the U.S. men's national team and their win over Japan here yesterday. You're watching episode 155 here on the National Soccer Network.
Experience the thrill of the game like never before with NSN's Game Rewind. Dive into full match commentaries enhanced with cutting-edge dynamic graphics, letting you relive the highs and lows of your favorite matches in astonishing detail. Whether it's a championship win or a legendary play, NSN Game Rewind bridges the past and future with a broadcast experience designed to captivate. Call 586-304-4405 and start watching today.
My bad. We're back. We're back.
Welcome back.
We are back. We're back. Welcome back here in Inside the Game. I was taking a quick nap there. Nice little minute 30. I know that Ryan on some level was like excited about the possibility that Bobby wasn't going to join. We would play that 12-minute video.
I won't lie a little bit, but Bobby was really good. He gave some great insight. I learned a little bit of things because I'm a college recruiting nut job when it comes to like basketball and football. So like hearing, a different perspective about recruiting and, playing the, the type of players in the transfer portal was great. So that was good. That was fine. I'm okay with being up for another 12 minutes. I can nap later, but Bobby was really good and gave great insight. So I'm proud to be up for 12 extra minutes.
Oh, man. Well, let's dive into this U.S. men's national team victory here yesterday. I will start off by saying this. U.S. soccer.
That's a great picture, by the way, John. That's a fantastic picture by you.
Thank you.
You.
I do want to say this, that Ryan and myself are now the official good luck charm of U.S. soccer. So we came, we conquered, you win, we win, and we want to be invited to every single game moving forward.
You were telling me yesterday that they actually looked up in the stands and they saw you, and that's why they ended up rolling. That they were pissed off. They're like, that
Jackamo
here. Yeah, that dork is here. We're gonna win. Let's go win. Let's show them, guys. And then that's what led to the result last night. So
Nate, to your point in the stands, in my head, I'm like, why isn't Pochettino on the touchline? Then within 5 seconds, Pochettino gets up on the touchline. I'm like, that's interesting. And then I lean over to JT. I go, dude, this Ndeas kid sucks. Like, he's been playing horrible. After that, scores a goal.
Bang!
I'm just saying they might be a little bit. They know I'm in the crowd. They know my thoughts. Like, wow, Ryan's here. We got to get it going.
So we should be just overtly critical leading up to the World Cup. Let's just be critical the entire time, and then attend, and then they'll see us, and then they'll kill it. Well, you two, that is. But
U.S. soccer, you're welcome.
Yeah.
So
we'll just keep making them mad.
All three of us put our predictions in yesterday.
Oh, come on, man.
We actually did them last week, I actually believe. Well, at least I did on Friday. I said that we were going to beat South Korea by a score. I believe it was 2-1 or 2-0. Obviously, I was wrong. And then I said that Japan was going to be, get rocked 3-0 by the U.S. here yesterday. I fell short of that by a goal. To be fair, I think that the shot from McGlynn went in. There's no VAR in friendlies, but there should be because that was in. All right, and so it should be 3-0. Either way, here's your current prediction tracker of U.S. men's national. I'm currently at 1-1. Nate, you're 0 right now, and there's Ryan. He's 1-1 as well. He had that win against South Korea. Well, we all lost. So we'll keep this tracker going though. But I am moving in the right direction. And as hard and as critical as I've been of the U.S. men's national team, I am still a believer that if they can find a way to come together and play like they did yesterday, that anything is possible. We do have some highlights, by the way, from yesterday as well. These are highlights, compliments of my iPhone 16 and my Meta glasses that I happen to wear on my head, my nice smart glasses. This is us walking in yesterday through the metal detectors and x-ray machines that they have now at all these facilities across America. But, walking into this stadium, this is not my first time. This is my third time being in this stadium, whether that be calling a game, we broadcasting a game there. Nate, you and I have been there and done that.
Yep.
You and I walked on this field last year together in December, right after Columbus Crew had won the College Cup or the MLS Cup.
And then hold on, shortly after, John buys his sweatshirt, the one he's wearing right there.
Yeah, I was right there.
Yeah, I'm
That's
sure.
true.
You can't leave without some piece of merchandise. Yeah, that place was sick, and I remember I'll never forget all the confetti all over the field. They literally had vacuum cleaners out there trying to get all the confetti up before the UPSL game. But no, yeah, extremely jealous of you guys being in that environment because that's packed out too. There weren't many people when you and I were there doing the UPSL side, but that's what the environment should look like. And I talk about this, like if you play in the Midwest, they're going to show up. And I thought they showed up in droves for that ball game. So good on you guys being able to go there and see that, especially right in front of you, just like that. I mean, that's sick. So I've always wanted to see him, always kind of been on the bucket list, but that's a cool environment to be a part of there in Columbus.
No, it definitely was. I mean, obviously, we saw them in the first half coming towards us. In the second half, they were going away from us. So had to pull out the 16-time zoom on the iPhone 16, the Apple iPhone 16. Hey, Apple, if you want to sponsor the National Soccer Network, what a great display of camera work here coming from that Apple iPhone 16.
JT, also tell the people how we didn't get the Balogun goal recorded. You should tell them about that.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, I was most of the game I had the phone in my hands.
Come on, media member.
I was talking with Ryan. He might have been talking about how trash Zendejas was in the first half, and talking about how he didn't like him, and how he was like taking credit for the goal when because he was talking trash, and then we missed that Balogun goal.
My fault, guys. My fault.
Yeah. But in talking about this game yesterday, I get sick of the whole they played no one line of thinking. I mean, it is a friendly. The reality is that you're not going to see the best of the best. Sometimes you're going to be missing key players, and that's what Japan did last night. But the truth is that we ended up winning, and there's a lot of takeaways from this that you can kind of break down. And, I think there's a few that come to my mind initially, and I don't know what you guys think, because obviously you saw it live and in person, so I'm sure you have your takeaways as well. But Balogun is our best striker, and that was only his second game with Poach, and I'll talk about him in a second, but you want to talk about leadership. I thought he had something really good to say in the media afterwards. I thought Dest was great. I thought, again, Zendejas, picking him up was huge for this squad. It was huge for Mauricio Pochettino to get him into the mix. That was only his second game under Poach. So both Zendejas and Balogun in their second game under Poach both scored. So I think he's certainly earned his way into the conversation of being on that squad in the World Cup. The other thing I'll mention, and I know we've touched on this little by little, I know that Matt Freese is not the runaway number one goaltender right now. I don't think he is, but I don't think there's any doubt in my mind that he should be number two on that list. Like, it's the two Matts right now. It's Matt Freese and it's Matt Turner. Like, those are the two that we should be looking to for the World Cup in 2026. By the way, I think we just ran into a buzzsaw when it came to South Korea, because Son Heung-min is on a tear right now. I think he has 4 goals in his North American tour at the moment, because they just played again, and I think he scored 3, maybe a hat trick. I forget how many he had. But anyways, I want to read off this quote that Fuller and Balogun said yesterday after the game, which I thought was really interesting, because I think it shows that the players understand what's going on and what's expected of them. But, quote, "We're building something big here with a top coach. It takes time," unquote. And then, quote again, he tried to emphasize that to us, at least when it comes to how much time that it takes, to be patient. But at the end of the day, the results are the most important thing, so I'm glad that we were able to get the win. So they acknowledge that results matter. They acknowledge that winning still matters. He goes, quote, "What does this win give us? It gives us confidence. We are in a results-based industry, so when we can, we want to get a good win." That was something you said earlier, JT. But not just a win, but a solid win. We got the clean sheet, so I'm happy with our performance. He just goes, "We're more connected and clinical overall. I'm really happy, just tired." And obviously he laughed it off. But this is something that I'm seeing from him, to address the media like that and go, listen, this is something that when we're trying out as much as we have, and we're trying to get everybody moving in the right direction, and things aren't really necessarily connecting. I thought yesterday was like a breath of fresh air for U.S. men's national team fans, because of how they looked. And again, just how fresh some of these players are, like Balogun, like Zendejas, to playing under Mauricio Pochettino. He hasn't had the luxury of having the best available options. And I know there were some players that didn't get call-ups. I understand. Okay, some of his roster construction, it just seems like a little questionable. I also think Christian Roldan is lost out there. I don't know how you guys feel about him, but this is where we really start to figure it out, because he has access to these pieces, like Balogun and like Zendejas deciding to come to the United States men's national team. So again, these friendlies are going to tell us a lot, But I think that's important. I think that's important to notice. And I do think that there is buy-in right now, which is the most important of all of it. Also, Pulisic looked great, but I don't feel like that necessarily warrants
Ryan,
a
will you do me a
mention.
favor
But
and go back to that video and just cue up the end there where Pulisic is standing along with his teammates. For me, we just talk with a coach who understands everything about, and you can pause it when you get on Pulisic, okay? Who understands, and we can come back to me and Nate and whatnot, and then play it back in. There it is. Okay, so you see him, okay, he's obviously in this group of 3 other players. The rest of the team is off to the right there. Now, my question for you, is this concerning to anybody? Is this
No,
concerning
I
to
think-
anyone that he's over there and the rest of his team? You've got the captain, you've got Pulisic and Balogun. They're all over there, and the rest of the team is in the middle over there. Does that concern anybody?
No.
No?
no, I
'Cause-
think we're picking at straws here. Yeah, I mean,
Because-
go ahead, Ryan.
I think in time, hold on, because remember that they gave Max Arston like his own. I think that's what that was. So if we go back to this video, I believe this is the time where they let Max Arston. They pushed him out, and so he could give love back to the Columbus crowd. I believe that's what it is. Whether I think Pulisic just being over there, I think that's just like him just being over there. I don't think
No,
it's that big.
again, we can say picking at straws. I'm asking this question because we've talked about leadership, okay? And so at the end of the game, you've got this thing happening with Max, and your best player and your captain are not involved in that.
I think they're
Does
just
that-
giving
I
Arston
mean,
a moment.
yeah, they're just giving Arvston a moment. I mean, to get an assist like that in front of your hometown crowd is cool. So I'll give that to him. But I mean, he was over by a couple of other really key players for this team. I just think he just so happened to be over there. I don't think it has anything to do with anything that's troubling that's going on inside of the clubhouse. And me personally,
Well, I wouldn't say
I think
again.
it is
I
picking
body
at straws.
language. Again, I watched that entire thing. I watched it again. I was there. I literally kept my eyes on Pulisic. I watched him walk around the field. He was never with his teammates walking around that pitch. He was never with them. He was always trailing behind. And so I'm curious why you wouldn't be with your team, the bulk of your team, in that moment. It's if you're the leader of a team, you should be within that group to lead the team. It was a weird thing that I saw up close and personal yesterday. We can say we're gripping at straws, but when I see things that Pulisic, there's no doubt that Pulisic is a great player. We don't doubt that. The thing that's in serious doubt is whether or not he is a leader. Leaders lead, followers follow. And that's where I don't see him as a leader. Again, we can argue about a lot of other things, but I was just curious. And again, I'm not trying to like micromanage that moment. I'm just watching this in real time and watching this moment and watching him trail behind everybody, and he never seemed to like be a part of that. And I was curious your guys' take on it. So obviously keeping
he's
an
not
eye on
gonna-
it, but we know his leadership. We know
Yeah.
where he's at with that. So
Yeah.
But let's take a look at the box scores here from yesterday. Put those up on your screen. Here they are. Very similar to that of what we saw against South Korea. Again, we'll show actually the South Korea as well here in a moment. But 19 shots, 11 on target, 56% possession, 559 passes, of which 87% accuracy. You see their shots on target for Japan. It was 11-6. Again, very similar. We saw less shots in that South Korea game, 5-4. But again, a very, very similar looking, again, 87% accuracy, 54% possession. I think we saw 56%. Again, they had 2 more shots in this game, more on target. But the result, in this game, there were moments when Japan was dangerous that we could all look back and see. We saw Matt Freese in that first half have to make a couple big-time saves. The second half, he didn't. What we have seen from the U.S. men's national team is, and Alexi Lalas talked about this, and as well as Taylor Twellman, in the previous 7 teams in the top 30, we have had atrocious first halves, just atrocious. And in most cases, didn't even seem like we were in the game. And you could argue in that South Korea game that that first half we were not existent, from all different layers of that game. In this game, we felt, from my perspective, Japan had their moments, and those moments came in the first half, a significant amount of them. And then in the second half, they tapered off a bit, right? We tended to have more control of the ball. We tended to do more with the ball. We had more opportunities in that second half as well. We are clearly a second half team. But the thing for us, if you're a second half team, you have to weather the storm in the first half. And Matt Freese makes a big time save in the first 5 minutes of that game, Ryan. That diving save, if he doesn't he made 2 big time saves in the first 15 minutes of that game. If he doesn't make those saves, we're down a goal. We're down 2 goals. And now we're having a completely different conversation. Do the U.S. men's national team, do they have the ability to come back? And I think that's the thing. If we can get on top in a game and weather the storm, we may give ourselves a fighting chance. But if we go down, I don't know if we right now have that mentality to climb that hill and come back.
Yeah, against a side like that, I mean, it's going to be tough to do. I mean, against a truly competitive team. I mean, that's why the first one's so important, especially in these international games. And you've heard players talk about that before. Like, 1 goal in an international competition feels like a couple goals, like, because of how it establishes momentum. But this is why the U.S., I mean, look back at some of their biggest wins. They've always had solid goaltending. Like, this is something that the U.S. has kind of cracked the code on. In other areas, again, we're not quite up to speed as some of the more developed countries, but goaltending has always been something we've done really well. You think of all those years with Tim Howard and obviously the other greats that we've mentioned throughout the course of the show. But to have a consistent goaltender that you like and can make those big saves early on, like Matt Freese did yesterday, again, it helps you stay in the fight long enough to create your opportunities and go in front, because you're right, they have started slow. Like, every single matchup that we've seen that's mattered in any way whatsoever, they've all started slow under Poach in the first half. And that was the thing that really, just from a general perspective, kind of impressed me yesterday, was just how good their start was. But I think, I'm going to say this, I think Mauricio Pochettino is really starting to take a liking to Matt Freese. I mean, I think he's a dog. I think he's great. I think what he's shown us this summer, and then obviously in the game yesterday, I think there's just a lot to love about the kid, the mentality, the way he goes after things. So, I do think Matt Turner's still right there. I still think he's the option for the U.S. men's national team, but I'm sure Poach likes the guys that he gets to see. He likes the guys that are in front of him. And
well, you don't have a choice. I mean,
right,
he doesn't have a choice. I mean, if Matt Turner's not there, you're going to put in who your next best option. Matt Freese is clearly the number 2, and if I like Matt Freese, I think that he did a really good job for us yesterday. And there are going to be moments where he's going to shine, and there's going to be moments where he's not going to shine. But I think it's also important to state that, just like we talked with Bobby Muss this morning, right? And we're talking with all these head coaches. Coaches are going to give them. They're not going to put people on the field who don't give them the best chance to win, right? And so if Matt Freese gives them the best chance to win, he'll be on that field. If Matt Turner does, he'll be on that field. And we can talk about liking. I mean, everyone was complaining about how Gio Reyna was not on the field back in the 2022 World Cup. People couldn't understand it. Now, clearly, we from outside had no clue what was going on inside that locker room, but clearly, kid was having a tantrum, and the coach was like, dude, you're not playing, guy. Like, and everyone's like, well, this is one of the best players we have. This is one of the best young players we have. But what has Gio Reyna done for us? He's done nothing for us for the most part. And so you ask yourself, well, why is that? So I always say it's not always the best player. It's the players that give you the best chance to win. And so we saw Blackman yesterday. Now, Blackman had a fairly good game yesterday. I mean, again, when you talk about how we didn't allow any goals, I mean, we didn't allow any goals. I mean, Tim Ream had a good game yesterday. Richards was back in the lineup yesterday. He looked good for the most part, right? We saw Sergiño Dest. He came in the second half, though, right? And so I liked yesterday's lineup. I like the fact that Diego Luna didn't start. I think Luna not starting is actually a better thing for us. I think Luna coming in as a 15th guy on the bench, if number 15, 16 coming in and filling in, I think that little burst of energy will be very helpful for us down the stretch. And he
nice
might
little energy motorboat.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yes. Yep. Brought to you by
High energy motorboating.
Oh boy.
He's a great option off the bench.
I do want to point this out real quick. So after yesterday, we have jumped Japan in the world rankings. We are now 15th. Japan
is
is
official?
Yeah, it's according to the website. Yeah. Japan is the official FIFA Coca-Cola rankings.
Did it update this morning? Because they don't typically update those until I thought they updated them a certain time of the year.
I don't know. Well, I would imagine we were not 15th last week.
No, we were not. We were 16, weren't we?
But we are ahead of Japan. They jumped down 2 spots. They're 17th. We are 15th. Yeah, I would imagine that's legit. But anyway, that's the point. But we can maybe say this for a different topic in the next couple of days. But they got some winnable friendlies coming up.
That they do. We'll dive into that obviously here in the future. Again, let's put up on the board here one more time where we are with our prediction tracker here. This is important to show that.
Just because you won one?
Just because I won one. Yeah. There it is.
I decide to be. I go positive one day they lose. I go negative the next time they win. This team, man. This team.
It's flipping a coin, my guy. It's flipping a coin.
This team.
We were going to dive into the college. We can put them on the screen here. We're not going to really be able to dissect them this morning. We'll put them on our website and have a story for you. So if you want to check out the top 25 men's and women's college soccer programs in the country, well, here they are. Again, Indiana University has made their way to number 1 in the rankings. We saw Stanford was there last week. Stanford has fallen all the way down to 8 on the men's side. Oh boy. And then you can see that all the way again, Wake Forest in that number 4 spot. They were 7 last week. We saw the Michigan side, University of Michigan bowing out. They were 25th last week. But there's a look again. Wake Forest playing number 21, University of North Carolina here on Friday. NC State, North Carolina State is at 5 once again. Women's side, we have a new number 1, University of Tennessee for the first time in history. They are a number 1.
Rocky Top, Tennessee.
So both Stanfords, who were ranked number 1 last week, are no longer number 1. Stanford is number 3 on the women's side, and you can look up and down the ranking there. Again, all those will be available on our website at thenationalsoccernetwork.com. Coming up right now is our question of the day. Did we do it, Ryan?
Oh, yeah, we did.
All right, because
Sorry, I had to get my good old Rocky Top and my Indiana one in there. Sorry.
I just don't remember if we even did it this morning.
No, we did. It was actually Nate's question. But before we get to that, Salt Athletic, an official sponsor of us here at the National Soccer Network. To save 15% off your order, use promo code NSN15. Visit saltathletic.com today by scanning that QR code. But question of the day. Who impressed you the most last night from the U.S. men's national team against Japan?
So I'll lead with this one. I was super impressed last night with Matt Freese. He in that first half single-handedly kept the U.S. men's national team in the game, and that's what you need. Single-handedly kept the U.S. men's national team. A goalkeeper. Day long about the easy saves and whatever you want to call it, but there are moments when a goalkeeper in every single game they are called upon, and they have to stand on their head. Okay, you see it time and time again in these environments, and Matt Freese did that last night. He was asked in that first half, at least on 2 separate occasions, to stand on his head, and he did that. And that allowed the U.S. men's national team to play with confidence in their back line, because if you do not have a goalkeeper who can make those kinds of saves, you as a defense start to play differently. It's a mental thing. I've seen it time and time again. When you have a goalie who can make stops and make big-time plays, it allows you as a team, defensively and offensively, to get forward and to play without fear. And that's something that we saw last night. It led to their victory. And yesterday, Matt Freese was my guy who impressed me.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to change it up and do something different, but I'm going to go with Matt Freese at 100%. I mean, I think, and the other thing that I like about him too, we always talk about, high energy guys. High energy motorboating guys. These when I think about that, the two that come to my mind is obviously one, Diego Luna. Now, I think you're right. He shouldn't be starting, but as someone off the bench, I think he could be a dynamite option for this team. I think he is high energy. I think he's a spark plug. I think he plays with a fire underneath him. The other that I think of is Matt Freese. I mean, there's just sort of you have to have a certain swagger about you if you're going to be a goaltender, right? Because you are the last line of defense. You almost have to have a little bit of a screw loose to want to play that position as well. I mean, I know you probably got a screw loose over there, JT, having been a former goaltender yourself, but that's a good thing. And I think Matt Freese definitely has a screw loose somewhere along the lines, but he's a dog, and he goes out and he performs and he gets after it. And I thought he was great yesterday. You're right. And we need a solid option, someone we can bank on in goal if we want any chance of having success in the future. And that's why the big question mark around who was going to fill that spot was the most troubling to me. But I think Matt Freese is proving if he can continue to operate like he did yesterday and make big saves in big spots and be that guy. And he said PKs are his thing. So if we ever get there, I feel like we can lean on him a little bit more. But yeah, I mean, normally I like to pick someone different to mix it up a little bit, but Matt Freese showed me a lot in that game yesterday.
For me, I was just happy to be there, so I didn't really pick out a player. No, I'm just kidding.
I was just happy to be there. I was just having fun.
I was having a blast. It was a great time, great area. But no, if anything, I was actually just impressed with not a single player. I was more impressed with just the fight that the whole team brought together. Like, they were actually sticking in tackles. They were fighting for every loose ball. They played smart. And again, I know we may have to take this with a little bit of a grain of salt just because Japan, again, we do have to mention that they didn't play Matoma. They didn't play Endo. They didn't play Kubo. They didn't play the main guys in the beginning. But they were out there for 20 minutes, and they didn't give up a goal. That's got to be worth something in the end, and I know that. But after how much scrutiny they've been given all summer long, how much, they got killed by Korea there, but they gave fight last night, and they won. They came out with a 2-0 victory. A W is a dub.
Yep.
But they gave it. All right, Jameis Winston. But no, they gave fight. They were sticking in tackles, and they tried really, really hard. They showed a little bit of fight and grit. And I just would say I was overall impressed with the overall team. And we got to give Pochettino a little bit of credit. Change up the formation, 3-4-3, which I didn't even know that was changed based on our field of view until I looked at it.
Yeah, we had terrible
halftime.
seats yesterday.
Terrible seats in terms of seeing the overall play and the overall build up, but no, they're fantastic seats. Let's do it again sometime. But no, I was overall impressed with the team and how they played.
It's all great points, right? One thing I want to do here before we end the show is yesterday. I'll be the first one to tell you that if you said, "Hey, John, where would you like to be to watch a game?" It'd be on my couch with a nice cold drink, big screen TV, get to enjoy the game in my comfort of my own home. If I use the bathroom, I have to wait in any line. That to me is my happy place. I thoroughly enjoy going to sporting events. I do. I just enjoy being at my house better. It's like it's comfort. And so yesterday, I got a chance to experience my first ever U.S. men's national team game. We did so in a very unique way. We sat in the supporter section. We sat with the American Outlaws. And I mean, so to go from sitting in your, the comfort of your own home and to be in this environment where there's a whole bunch of cheering happening, everyone is synchronized with the way that they're doing their hands. It's a whole thing. That's not my cup of tea. It will never be my cup of tea. I'm not built that way. And it's okay. I enjoyed it. It was great. But what I'll tell you is this: the American Outlaws, the supporters group for the U.S. men's national team and the women's national team, that supporters group is amazing. And the really cool thing about the supporters group and the American Outlaws is if you become a member, you get access to discounted pricing, right? So like my wife Bianca and I are members of the American Outlaws, and so we get these tickets that are sent to us, and they tell you pricing, and they're like $35. So now, granted, we paid $121 yesterday for our seats times 2, because we bought them after the fact, and there were no tickets available. But you could literally sit in that same section for like $35, right? And but again, you're sitting in a section where you have to know your stuff. I mean, because otherwise, you look like me the whole game.
I don't know. I don't know what to do with my hands right now.
Doing a lot of
You could just put him down by your side. That'd be great.
USA. USA.
So my all I'm saying is it's an amazing organization. They really do support their team and support this country. And it's the supporters groups around this country that do all the heavy lifting when it comes to really, really making the environment at these games spectacular. There were 21,000 people yesterday at Lure.com field, and the the American Outlaws led the way for all the people in attendance to do their thing. So shout out to the American Outlaws, shout out to the U.S. men's national team, shout out to Lure.com field. An amazing atmosphere yesterday. I will say this, though. You got to get Pepsi Zero in your facility. I don't understand why that's not even a thing. Diet Coke and Pepsi Zero are not the same thing, or Diet Pepsi and Pepsi, not the same thing. And that's really important to state. But regardless, it is that wraps up episode 155 here on this Wednesday morning. We'll be back at it here again tomorrow. We have Lewis Robinson joining us here, the Western Michigan Broncos head women's soccer coach. He'll join us here tomorrow morning in our first segment. We also have, again, Mark Hubbard, NC State. We interviewed him here on Monday. We'll have that interview in tomorrow's show as well. And we are excited about future guests coming on the platform here in the coming weeks. That'll wrap up 155. That's Nate Wangler, Ryan Glinsky, our producer. I'm Jonathan Turner. Have a great rest of your Wednesday, and we'll see you tomorrow here, same time, same place on Inside the Game. From the biggest matches to the hottest takes, Jonathan Turner and Nathan Wangler bring you the stories, the analysis, and the edge you won't get anywhere else. Streaming live weekdays at 9 a.m. on YouTube, Roku TV, Facebook, Twitter, and all major platforms. No filters, no fluff, just real talk, real soccer. This is Inside the Game.